I'll leave y'all little the little tabs in there. Happy Saturday, beautiful people. And the background is fully active. Running a few minutes late, trying to get them to get this stuff from out of here. All right, beautiful people. Tootie, Carrie, you didn't do all over all my stuff. Okay. Happy Saturday, beautiful people. It is November the 3rd, 2022, day 278 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1298. Today we're picking back up in the book of Oahspe, Son of Jehovah, on page 71 in Oahspe. And once we get done here, we have a real life case study that we're going to get into, and we're going to pick up in Field Guide to the Spirit World on page 157, but we're only going to read just like a little bit of it because I want to be able to read this article, right? As a matter of fact, we may only get a chance to read the article because I got to get out of here because I got to be in class at 9. So we're going to go as long as we can, but I definitely want to read the article today. When I first saw it pop up, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like a perfect example of what we've been reading in Field Guide to the Spirit World, right? You'll see what I'm talking about as I get to reading it. And then Hannah, she inboxed me the same article that I was going to read. I was like, Hannah, listen. I was going to share this tomorrow. So there was kind of like confirmation that I should read that, right? Y'all see what I'm talking about in a minute. So let's get started. Hold on, let me make sure I got it.
Mom.
In here, yes.
This is your class right here.
Huh?
This is your class right here.
No, not this. I'm talking about school tutor. Hold on. No, I don't have to drive. I just have to be online today. I don't have to drive all the way out there today. Okay.
So,
Josh, chill.
don't be annoying. Plus, it's not yours.
Folders, yes. Well, I'm gonna have to restart this.
Yes. You know, automatic.
Josh, throw this in the microwave for her real quick.
Try to escape.
But you have to run. That's how you say.
All right. Okay. All right, Father, we thank you that you are absolutely brilliant. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop on over here to page 71. Y'all done with everything?
Yeah. Take it down.
Vanette, shalom. Shebrew, hey girl, hey. Anita, greetings. Elijah, Grand Rising. Shayla, hey cousin. Kendra, shalom. Jamil, shalom. Dawn, peace, love, and blessing this morning. What's the problem? Joshua. They want to start the shenanigans first thing in the morning. Ema, Grand Rising. Hannah, Grand Rising. Auntie, Belinda Brown. Yes, Grand Rising to my awesomely beautiful family. Zakar, Yahoo, Shalom. Levine, hey girl, hey. Faith is Ministry. Good morning. Yeah. Jesus, Pete. You gonna sit right here and eat? Okay. All right. I'm gonna get that out in 9 seconds and then we're gonna start. We're starting in chapter 7 at the top. Now it might be too hot. This trash. All right, sis. All right, beautiful people. Chapter 7, page 71, the top portion, the book of Oahspe, son of Jehovah. Remember, yesterday, we actually read the portion where Pan or Waga was broken off and it sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Okay. Jehovah spake in the firmament, saying, bring the newborn into the forest of Uklu and the Jean roads to the ark of Noah in the Etherian heaven of Huatan. And when thou hast founded them on a world of their own, leave thou gods and goddesses with them to sort them and provide according to their necessities. For all things shall be provided unto them, that they may attain knowledge and individuality. You can't turn it up. You can look at it, but don't turn it up.
Mom, I just cut it down.
Okay. Key, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all, page 72 at the top, verse 2. And when thou hast placed them, hasten thou with my son Neph back to the earth, where I have labored with the ships of the Ehims, and they were thus delivered. So I departed as soon as possible, taking leave of Theotisi, thanking her for her assistance in this great deliverance. And I took with me Neph, son of Jehovah, and other 30,000 gods and goddesses, besides 10 million Etherians, who had thousands of years' experience in heaven and on various corporal worlds. Dude, first of all, if you see me talking down here in the morning, you know what I'm doing. At least say, excuse me. That is not important right now.
Mom, I want to play with Josh and Saya, and it's not fair that they get to play together, but not me.
We're going to have to figure that out in a few. Go on back upstairs.
You have to make a new online account. That's the problem.
Isaiah, we'll talk about this later. Pick it up before I come right behind you. Thank you. First thing this morning. Verse 3. So I departed as soon as possible, taking leave of Theotisi, thanking her for her assistance in this great deliverance. And I took with me Neph, son of Jehovah, and other 30,000 gods and goddesses, besides 10 million Etherians who had thousands of years' experience in heaven and on various corporal worlds. And we came back to earth, even to the ocean where the land had gone down. That needs to go down a little bit more, Bella. And when I came to the ships in which the Ehims were escaped, finding the gods who had them in charge, even as I had previously commanded, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, bend thou the currents of the winds of heaven, O my son, and shape the ships, that they shall fall into groups, and thou shalt divide the groups, making 4 groups in all. And thou shalt drive the groups of ships before the winds of heaven, and bring them into the 4 different lands of the earth, according to its previous history and adaptation. Or this is where we kind of pick it up in scripture, right? With Israel being scattered to the 4 winds, right? North, south, east, and west, right? So after the flood, everybody was scattered to the 4 winds, right? Or to the 4 different corners of the earth, because Waga had been sunk, right? So you only have 4 places to go. And thou shalt drive the groups of ships before the winds of heaven, and bring them into the 4 different lands of the earth, according to its previous history and adaptation. For in all countries shall my chosen begin the laying down of the foundation of my everlasting kingdom, and they shall never more be destroyed by the people of darkness, neither of earth nor heaven. So I divided my host according to the labor thy commandments put upon me, making 4 divisions of them. And I said unto Neph, direct them, O God, to such countries as Jehovah hath shown thee, for thou knowest all the earth, for remember, thou art still God of earth. I said, by thy light, Jehovah, I desire 2 ships to go to the north, which was not sunken, for they be a testimony in time to come. Let thy gods therefore shift the winds and drive 2 ships aside from the rest. And in the same time, my messengers will go and lead the way to the north land, whither thy gods shall shape the winds of heaven. Now those in charge of the wind currents divided the ships and drove 2 of them off to the north land, and the gods and angels turned the currents about and drove the 4 groups of ships in 4 different ways, according to the directions of God, Son of Jehovah. And the messengers of God led the way, showing the gods and angels of the wind the countries designated by Jehovah. So it came to pass that in 150 days' time, all the ships of the faithless were in the ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, lest they take the ships and sail about, and so get divided and lost. Thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. Okay, so one point I wanted to bring out where the 150 days. Yeah, the beginning of verse 9. So it came to pass in 150 days' time. That correlates with what we read in Genesis on how long it took the waters to subside. It was like 150 days. So it came to pass that in 150 days' time, all the ships of the faithless were in the ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, and lest they take the ships and sail about, and so get divided and lost, thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. When I told God, Neph, what thou hast said, God said to me, My angels shall inspire the Ehims to take all things out of the ships, and this night shall thy host fulfill the commandment of Jehovah. So it came to pass, the Ehims took all of their goods out of the ships, not knowing they were inspired, and in the night I sent angels down, and they sank the ships. This is interesting how this happened, because I think about sometimes, a lot of different times in my life, where I did something, and then maybe like the next day or a few hours later, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I did that, because we would have never known that this was going to happen. One time that pops up that is really clear. Early on in our business, when we had got this big influx of business, and at that time I was handling all our bookkeeping, accounting, and taxes and all that stuff, right? But I had just been handling, this was like the early 2000s. I had only been handling it for like smaller type businesses like mine and just individual taxes and stuff like that, right? And the bookkeeping is just so small, just getting started, startup and stuff. But I didn't have at that time anybody who was doing like hundreds and thousands of dollars in revenue and stuff like that, which is where our business had boosted. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the payroll was crazy. We had huge payrolls like every 2 weeks. And so the money that was going out for taxes and all this other stuff, I was calculating. I was like, hold on, I might need to get some help, make sure I don't screw stuff up. So what happened was, over a couple pay periods, and I knew our schedule to make our deposits was going to change because of how much money we were paying out in payroll, which increases how much we need to send to the IRS. So we had these big lumps and sums of money just sitting in the bank. I didn't make any transfers because I wanted to make sure my numbers was right. And I had got to the point where I had gotten frustrated, and I was like, you know what, I think I'd have made a mistake. I don't want to get us hit with any taxes, any fines or penalties. So I think I'm going to need to call somebody. And that had been for like 2 weeks for like the previous pay period. I was like, I'm going to need to call somebody. But one day it was like really, really strong on me. Like, do not let this go. You need to find somebody today. Like when I said it wouldn't let up off of me, it was like that. Like somebody was standing there like, call somebody today, call somebody today, call somebody today, call somebody today. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me do this today. And so I looked them up, and I actually, because the line was busy, I decided to actually drive out there, which was probably about 20 minutes away from where we had currently lived at. And I had left them a couple messages, but it was kind of getting ready for like prime tax season. And I knew that, so I was like, I'm going to just walk in. So I walked in, and they actually had me up there and said, yes, Ms. Murphy, we got your message. We were actually going to give you a call back. He's been swamped today. I said, okay, I just need to make sure I said, are you taking new clients? They said, we are. And so I stood in there talking to them for about 20 minutes, and they got me on the books and got appointments, said, gave me their card. I'm so glad I went in, right? Because they gave me an appointment card. Oh my gosh, I get chills when I think about it. They gave me an appointment card and stuff, right? The very next day, 2 IRS agents came knocking at our door in the hood. When I told this story a few years ago, they came with their badges. Now, you think about this. Think about how much money you would have to owe the IRS for them to send 2 agents knocking at your door. Yeah, think about that, right? So I'm like, oh my God. And mind you, it wasn't a government contract yet, but it was. We were a subcontractor for a government contract that they had, right? And so they kind of keep close watch on this stuff. And they knew who we were. Came right to our little, we didn't live in the trailers. We stayed across the street from the trailers. Y'all probably remember us telling that story, my son walking in. We stayed across the street. It was like 12 apartments. No, it was, because we was number 12. It was 16. It was 16 apartments that they built ranch style across the street from these trailers, and then like a whole neighborhood of trailers. So people thought we lived in a trailer park. Technically, we did not. We lived in a little apartment complex community that they had over there within the trailer park. But anyway, that was the whole point. And I realize now that there are a lot of times that I've had in life where I had this inkling, or it's like really strong, to go ahead and do something, not knowing what's going to happen maybe in a few hours or the next day. So when things like that happen now, I'm realizing we were truly inspired. Leave me alone. No. I told you I need to use this morning. I told you when I'm done, I'll let you get on it. Okay? All right. So there's a lot of times that I've had in my life where I don't find out until later that this is something that was truly inspired from the spiritual realm, right? Because they can clearly see a lot further than what we can. And it amazes me that they don't really alert us to what's coming. They just inspire us to do something. I don't know. I think it's one of the rules where they can't necessarily tell us. I think it's one of the ways of making sure we stand in line with the keynote. Okay, give them an instruction to see if they follow it, right? You know, so I think it's something like that. Yes.
They're not gonna do it.
Okay, listen. Go over there. Stop worried about him. Stop being worried about him. Oahspe College University. Shalom, shalom. Tabitha, hey girl, hey. All right, look. Okay, so let me read this again. Make sure you rinse it off better. I'm going to go back to verse 9. So it came to pass that in 150 days' time, all the ships of the faithists were in the ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, and lest they take the ships and sail about, and so get divided and lost, thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. And when I told God, Neph, what thou hast said, God said unto me, My angels shall inspire the Ehings to take all things out of the ships, and this night shall thy host fulfill the commandment of Jehovah. And so it came to pass. All right, son, have a wonderful day. And so it came to pass, the Ehings took all their goods out of the ships, not knowing they were inspired. And in the night I sent angels down, and they sank the ships. Oh, and so when the IRS agents showed up at the door, showing their badges, I just knew we was about to go to jail. Y'all ever watch these what is it called? They have little specials like First 48, but it's not First 48. They talk about like blue collar crimes and stuff, and people who get in there and they're doing all kind of illegal stuff when they got government contracts and defrauding people out of money. I was like, oh my God, I just wanted to make sure I was gonna give all the money that we supposed to pay, right? Boy, y'all should have seen that day. My husband, I ain't gonna get into it because he ain't down here to defend himself. On what happened that day, he said, babe, call me if you need me. One of us gonna need to be out of jail. We ain't going to jail. My husband literally, he backed out the back door. He said, I'm gonna call you. When I ain't gonna tell you where I'm going. I'm gonna just call you, make sure you're okay. They ain't took you to jail. So we ain't going to jail. We got all the money in the bank, which we did. We weren't doing nothing underhanded or nothing. We literally had all that money sitting in the bank. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't overly paying the IRS, because sometimes if you overpay the IRS, they take their sweet time in giving you your money back. But when they do, they have to give you interest and penalties, but ain't no telling when they're going to give it back to you. But I wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect, and you didn't get any more and you didn't get any less than what was required according to the payroll we put out for this quarter, right? So, but yeah, they came in, and I tried to shut the door on them. It was two black ladies too. She came in there, and I had heard stories, and I was just gonna talk to them through the window. I went to go to close the door. Sis put her foot in the door like, Miss Murphy, you don't want to play this game. And I started laughing. I'm like, listen, is y'all taking me to jail? They said, no, we need to sit here and talk to you about your payroll and your books and the money you owe to the government. I'm like, we got all the money in the bank. Now, coming to where we lived at, you would think we was up to no good because we live right across the street from the trailer homes. You would think we'd be up to no good, and we done spent all the money. You would think we'd be balling out of control with SUVs and stuff like that, but we were not. We did some foolish stuff, but we were diligent about the money we had to pay to the government, because there's three people we don't play around with: the I, the R, and the S, right? We learned that early on. So, they came in, I was like, okay. I said, you gotta forgive me. And I just started laughing. I done watched some crazy stories. I done heard some crazy stories, and they said, don't let y'all in my house. So I was going to completely shut y'all out and talk to y'all through the window. They had the straight face, and all my little cracking jokes and stuff wasn't working. They was there about their money. I'm like, okay, listen, we got all the money in the bank. And they was like, do you really? And so they pulled out their records. I'm like, I was like, y'all really be paying attention to this stuff. She said, we got to. We are the accounting department for the United States of America. And they truly are, right? They got to report to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. I know, because I just studied it a little bit. I knew who I was dealing with. I was just trying to play dumb for real, right? So I was like, okay, listen. She said, have a seat. And so they came in. We had our whole little desk set up and stuff. They was quite kind of surprised on how it looked different on the inside than what it looked on the outside. Like, oh, y'all have definitely been spending up some money. No, we like nice things. Just because we live over here don't mean our house got to look like trash, right? And so I was like, have a seat. In my little office section and stuff, our huge desk and stuff. I was like, okay, let me pull this up. I'm going to open up the bank account so you can see what's in here. That's Miss Murphy. You need to pay this, and we got this. And I was like, okay, I can cut y'all a check right now, but I'm gonna show you so you know we not lying. We ain't stealing no money or nothing. I'm gonna open this up for you to see. Open up the account. I said, look at the accounts. And they looked at each other. I said, I wasn't lying. I said, as a matter of fact, yesterday, our CPA, I said, you can call and verify with the CPA that we retained yesterday that we needed help. We wanted to make sure we didn't mess any of this up. I said, you can call them right here. And I handed them the card that I got from the CPA, and they called right then, right in my face. And they verified everything. And so they asked them a couple of questions. Of course, they didn't know too much, but I had already, when I had got back home, they had already sent me the email and stuff to create my account and upload the documents that they need. And so all of that stuff was done. I had done that since the day before, going in there, meeting them and everything. And they said, well, okay, Miss Murphy, start treating me with some respect, putting Mrs. Murphy, okay. And act like they started treating me like I was telling the truth, and not that I was this thug trying to defraud the government living out here in the ghetto. And we just ain't bought a house yet. We still trying to come up. We just trying to be smart with what we got going on, right? So they were kind of shocked. And so I was there. They verified. I let them look at the bank account. I verified that this was our company account. Let me open it up. Let me show you the numbers, that this ain't nobody else stuff. This matches this. Yes. Okay. We good? Okay. We'll go ahead and write us a check for this. So I wrote the check. I'm like, oh my God, sweating under my arms the whole time. Then my husband got the nerve to call. Babe, they still there? I said, yes. Talking like it wasn't him. And he laughing in the background. I turned down the volume. He said, you need me to come? I said, yes. Yes. Yep. I was doing like that. And so he was like, no, I'm going to wait till they leave. I'm going to park down the street and I'm going to wait till they pull off. Then I'm going to come back. I'm like, okay, I'll see you then. We got in the house. I was ready to beat his tail. I'm like, bruh, what if they would have, he said, well, I was down the street watching. I mean, they would have took you out here. You got the kids in here. So they would have called somebody first. We only had 2 at the time, Elijah and Jeremiah. He said, I was right down the street anyway, but I was going to call like your sister somebody. That way they wouldn't take them to DCFS. We get the kids out of there first. And then, I would have met you down at the station. I'm like, you know what, bruh? Look, so we got a lot of foolish stories. But this is not the only time. There was one time that we didn't. Well, I listened. I'm going to say we, because me and my husband is one. He decided not to listen to the warning we got, right? Oh, that next day, you talking about somebody coming in here looking crazy and sad. We lost the contract. We didn't lose it forever because we got it back, but we lost the contract. They put us in timeout for 2 years. And at that time, that was our company's, that was the source of that was like our bread and butter, right? That was like our biggest source of income for our company at that time, right? And so he came in the house looking like a zombie, eyes red and stuff. I said, what happened? Like, I didn't even have to ask him what happened. I knew what happened because I knew he didn't listen. Because at that time, he was like, what are you having these dreams and stuff? No, they showed thoughts and stuff. I was like, babe, I'm telling you. I said, because such and such is underhanded. This is what happened here. I said, do not do that. He said, we've been doing this. He said, no, it's just a part of the thing we worked out. I said, but that's against their company policy. And if they find out, he gonna save his butt and we gonna be out back. As I'm telling you, this is the dream that I had. All right, babe, all right. He came home the next day, not knowing that they had already been investigating this guy. We didn't know that. Everything was fine, right? Getting little kickbacks or whatever it was, that the agreement that they had made up. And when I found out about it, I'm like, what? I said, stop that immediately. And so come to find out, it goes down. He's fired. We're kicked out. And he come home with the crazy face because I had just told him, babe, this, stop this. Cut off all communications with this guy. I said, if there was any kind of anything, I said, that needs to be, you need to calculate this up. I said, you need to do what you need to do with this, right? Didn't listen. Our entire company and family suffered because of it. I'm like, bruh. And I tell you, from that point, he's like, wait a minute, okay, did you have a dream? Okay, what do you think this means? Let's sit down here. Let us come and talk about this together. Okay, hold on, let me get my notes. Okay, and you said, what happened? Okay, go back to the part when you said that part was kind of cloudy. Explain that again. What was around? Who was there? Did you notice anything different? Look, really? Oh, Alicia, that's my sister. She be having dreams too. Husband don't listen, and they newlyweds. They come into this family not realizing there is like certain, gifts that our family has that be like on point. Don't listen to her either. I'm like, bruh, he'll learn. He gonna learn real quick. And she got some stories. And it's funny, if you don't mind me sharing. Because some of the stuff my sister tell him, he gets spooked out. And he be like, you know what? You into witchcraft, ain't you? And she start busting up laughing. I be hollering, screaming when she shares some of the stuff. And he be like, yeah, she said he's scared of her. He not scared of her, but it baffles him. The stuff that she tells him and he don't listen. Almost like clockwork, it happens. And so he does get he get kind of scared of stuff and just like, he don't know what to think. Okay, let me get back to this, y'all, because I got to read y'all this case study today. Okay. Look, you a dreamer also. You have dreams. Key. Look, I don't know why people be playing. I can't explain it all the time. I just know I call it inside information. I don't know. And I learned how to decipher between where the source of the information is coming from. Just things that I've learned over the years. And it's like, okay, So I'm not exactly sure, but it could be one or two, possibly three things. That's what I came up with, but it's gonna be something, right? And it's always one of the two, or it could have been if I was maybe not thinking high enough, so to speak. I may have been off a little bit, but I knew that there was something, and it always is. So I don't be playing around with this stuff. You know, I've learned not to. And my husband's like, okay, let's go over this one more time. Okay, start from the beginning. You laid down, it was about 8:30, and you went to sleep. That's where you want me to start from, not from the beginning of the dream. Tell me what you did that led up to you laying down and going to sleep. And then get into the dream as it begins to unfold. Right? Okay, listen. Verse 9, page 72. So it came to pass that in 150 days' time, all the ships of the faithless were in the ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, and lest they take the ships and sail about, and so get divided and lost, thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. When I told God Neph that what thou hast said, God said unto me, My angels shall inspire the Ehims to take all things out of the ships, and this night shall thy host fulfill the commandment of Jehovah. And so it came to pass. The Ehims took all their goods out of the ship, not knowing they were inspired, and in the night I sent the angels down, and they sank the ships. Right? It's like they're on the timeline, and they ain't holding for nobody, because they do what they need to do at the appointed time. So if you didn't get everything out the ship, sorry, it's going down with the ship. Like we told y'all early enough to do this. This is a timeline we can't stop, right? So we're inspiring you to get it done. Now, had I not listened, I don't know. They would have probably hit me with all types of penalties and interest and stuff that could have been. I got Carmax on my lips and it stuck to my lips. All interest and penalties because of, for one, I was late paying it, but because that's good. But because I actually went out there and I had the appointment card and they called them and verified, I'm gonna say they cut me a little grace, right? So they did have me overpay. I wrote the check for now I know it was $5,000 over, right? But in about almost 30 days later, they reached out to me. Well, one of the ladies did. She called and she said, Miss Murphy, okay, we got everything adjusted, and we didn't hit you with the interest or the penalties here, but we would just want to let you know that this could be really serious if this is ever done again. First time, we're going to let you off with a warning, and this overage of $5,000 we're going to send back to you. And I had that check back in the mail in 2 weeks, so I'm like, right? So don't ever play around with your taxes, people, right? I did taxes for over a decade. Don't do it. Don't play around with the IRS. If you're not sure, you got to call and ask some questions, right? Because they people just like you people. They got a job that they got to do, but it's also deadlines and things that some places they can't give you grace, right? So I'm just saying, if anybody in tax trouble, reach out and talk to somebody. Don't call me. Right? I'm too busy to do it right now. So, but yeah, reach out to somebody. They can help you. They help you straighten it out, right? Okay. All right. Verse 11. And in the morning the Ehims beheld their ships had disappeared, and they said with one voice, Of a truth, I know I was inspired, for I would not rest till all the goods were taken out of the ship. Let us therefore build an altar unto the Lord and sing and dance, because he is with us. And when God, Neph, saw that their souls were propitious for good works and miracles, he stationed his ashars, guardian angels, around about the altars, and sent other ashars into the country, and they gathered fruit which was growing wild, and brought it to the Ehims, casting it on the altars of the Lord, even whilst the people danced. Thus did I fulfill the work thou commandest of me, O Jehovah, whereupon I surrendered my commission to thy son, Neph, God of heaven and earth. And we're going to pause right here. I know it's only one chapter, but I can't be too long today. So we'll move here, and we're going to jump right over.
Still watering. And look if it's still watering.
We're going to jump over here to this little case study real quick.
It's still watering.
No. Just mix it up. Okay, y'all. So look at this here. 72. And this story is kind of heartbreaking. But I mean it's heartbreaking in more ways than one. And you're gonna see what I'm talking about, right? Let me open this up. Hold on. This is about just in every chapter. Okay, the unseen guest. It definitely goes with this chapter, the unseen guest. We at page 157. Sorry, case. Okay, let's do this. Because this is like a page and a half. And let me get this in because I think it'll tie right into this. Let me read the rest of this, page 157 to 158, and then we'll jump right to the case study, right? And we'll look at this. And I'm going to ask y'all some questions. Like, y'all, if y'all been here since we've been reading from the beginning of the Field Guide to the Spirit World, as I'm reading this stuff and the psychiatrists that got involved or family members started speaking out about what had been happening, it was like red flags, all these things that we're learning, right? Okay, so let me go here. This. Bring up this. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the article. Hold on, why it's not coming up? Boy, seriously? Hold on. I gotta pull it up here. I'm gonna copy and paste it so I can open it up on mine. Hold on one second, y'all. Boom. There we go. Some of y'all probably seen it because it just started popping up. But yesterday, day before yesterday. Hold on. Switch. See all. Boy, I swear for Bob, when I'm looking for something, now they want to switch everything around. I can't find it. Hold on, y'all. This blows me. Okay, jeez. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Messenger. Hold on, y'all. Where's this article? Let me just go back to Hannah's message when she sent it to me. I'm gonna go back to the message. Inbox. There we go. Okay, I'm glad you sent it to me. Sheesh. Okay, there we go.
I've been getting paid.
Hold on. Okay. NBC News. Hold on, y'all.
It's still a surprise when the shooting.
I'm bringing up the article. Hold on. All right, let me just type it in. Now I know the name of it. I'm going to go to Google, type it in. It's just opening up YouTube. I want to read the actual article. All right, it is. Yeah, Milwaukee 10-year-old shoots mother. Okay. Okay, yep. Let me make sure. Said. Yep, this is the one. It started talking about what the sister told the police and stuff about what had been happening over a period of time. Okay, boom. Okay, so that's there. Let me go back to y'all. Bring y'all back up. Okay. What you say, Oahspe College University? Let me read your comment. Oahspe College University says, sorry, sisters, I don't listen to female energies, but I'm working up to fix this problem. It's the way I grew up. At least you recognize it, right? We ain't gonna say nothing to you. But you know what? I would have never thought that because you be hanging out here with us, right? Getting us a good information, the videos that you do share with us. I would have never thought that. But blessed be the most holy that you recognize ways where you can better yourself, right? Mom, shalom, shalom. Okay, so go to Field Guide to the Spirit World, page 157. And yesterday we paused right in the middle of the two lady murderers, right? So let me go back to the bottom of page 156, right? And it's telling us about one of them, and then we're going to get right into the next one, and that's going to end out this chapter. Okay. Let's switch for a moment to lady murderers, Lisa W., who shot her husband to death, and Amina A., who pushed two of her children out of their 10th story window. Both of these disturbed women suffered from night terrors. The night before Lisa W. killed her spouse, she felt strange, as if all of her were not quite together. Self-disintegrating, spirit approaching. The next day, quote, as if possessed by demons, end quote, she fired on her husband as he walked in the door. She had never used a firearm before, and in fact was a proper lady who literally, quote, sang in a church choir, end quote. Total amnesia immediately followed the shooting. She was at a loss to explain how she, quote, could ever have done such a terrible thing, end quote. Blinder, 1985, page 126 to 28. Likewise, in the quote, tragic and bizarre, end quote, case of Amina A., as her mind came unglued, quote, she began having nightmares and hearing voices that gave her specific instructions, end quote. She didn't know if she was dreaming, but she began hearing, quote, special messages sent to her on the radio, end quote. A, quote, mentor, end quote, was speaking to her from the void. I know somebody like this, y'all. They actually say they hear instructions from somebody from the other realm, right? This is crazy. Listen. She didn't know if she was dreaming, but she began hearing, quote, special messages sent to her on the radio, end quote. A, quote, mentor, end quote, was speaking to her from the void. When she was later told what she had done to her children, she was so wild with guilt and remorse, she tried to kill herself. Kerwin, 1997, page 54 to 58. One story of a woman's brother's death hit close to home. My son and his wife, P., who was pregnant with my grandson, were still living in Spain when I began hearing of P's pesadillas, or nightmares. She had been having them for 6 years, almost nightly, since the accidental shooting death of her brother, Jay. Each nightmare was a little different, but in all of them, someone she loved was threatened, hurt, or killed. I began to realize this nightly trauma can't be good for my future grandbaby. I also sensed that P's guilt, it was she who had invited her brother to Spain from South America, was part of the problem. That was the shock factor. He'd been shot in the face, and she first saw the story on TV news before ever being notified by the police. So I began discussing these things with her by email, working on the guilt angle of the problem. But the pesadillas, I think that's pesadillas, which means nightmares. But the pesadillas would not quit. Finally, I suggested Ma's night, a faith-is rite of spirit clearing, one that is specifically aimed at helping the unikit. Oh, I'm sorry. Unikit. It's unquiet. Finally, I suggested Ma's night, a faith-is rite of spirit clearing, one that is specifically aimed at helping the unquiet dead to, quote, move on, end quote. P jumped on the idea, and the preparations began at once. Since the ceremony is traditionally performed on the new moon, we had a few weeks to get ready. I sent P the ritual order, the quote, script, end quote, and she slaved over it, getting it translated to Spanish and distributing copies to her family. She followed all of the instructions for arranging, cleaning, decorating the house, and setting up a temporary altar, including the relevant herbs and colors to use, and so on. Then I asked for help, meaning participation from other faiths. All were informed of the circumstances relating to P's nightmares. All understood who, what, how, and why of the problem. And so it came to pass that simultaneously in 4 countries, America, Spain, Italy, and Ecuador, the rite was conducted on March the 7th, 2008. Faithis in California joined us, as well as P's mother and brother in different parts of Ecuador, thus linking the simultaneous prayers of people in a total of 7 different locations. Imagine that power on getting somebody free from a spirit that's been overshadowing them and possessing them, by getting a bunch of people that you know that are knowledgeable of this, getting everybody on the same page, and this is how we're going to handle this. And you got people from all the 4 corners of the world joining in at the same time, whatever time it is in their time zone, everybody at the same exact time. It's 7 a.m. here, but it's 4 a.m. there. But everybody, at 4 a.m. she up, 7 p.m. we up, 5 p.m. But everybody at the same time, all the time zone times linking together where these prayers and this deliverance is happening. That's powerful. Look. Then I asked for help, meaning participation from other faiths. All were informed of the circumstances relating to P's nightmares. All understood the who, what, how, and why of the problem. And so it came to pass that simultaneously in 4 countries, America, Spain, Italy, and Ecuador, the rite was conducted on March the 7th, 2008. Faithis in California joined us, as well as P's mother and brother in different parts of Ecuador, thus linking the simultaneous prayers of people in a total of 7 different locations. The California Faithis are an especially clairvoyant bunch, and from them we got feedback reports on the spirit of Jay, who was first, quote, seen, end quote, in a great black cloud, then observed in street clothes, and finally the aspect of a light being. Afterward, we all shared our experience a bit, but the best part was hearing from P. The nightmares were gone. It worked. Whatever it was that did the trick, I still believe the combined efforts and prayers of a dozen people on 3 different continents was the real clincher. Nothing holds a candle to the darkness shadowing power of collective inspiration. It was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. That was amazing. Yo. Okay, and so this is where we'll pause. At the end of this chapter, that was the end of chapter 6, the unseen guest. So now, Nope, I'll be done in a few. Now we're going to hop over here to this case study. Indeed, Kendra Wright, she said, I was reading this passage yesterday. It is a very powerful testimony indeed. All right, y'all. Wow, that's good to know, Oahspe College University. Listen, and I think you'll be an awesome ruler, awesome high chief. He said, thank you for sharing that. Listen, he said, he was talking to Shebrew. My mom raised, hold on, I missed something. My mom raised her. Oh, Shebrew asked, did your mommy raise you? Just a question. And he said, my mom raised, but her maids, my mom raised, maybe your mom had maids. Your mom raised you along with her maids and was taught that women do things for men. And one day I will rule my people since my father is a high chief. Right. Okay. I think that's kind of what you were saying, right? Your mom had maids. Your mom raised you along with her maids, right? Okay. Okay, so now it makes sense what you said up here, where he said, sorry, sisters, I don't listen to female energies, but I'm working to fix this problem. It's the way I grew up. That makes a lot of sense. And I think I've seen a lot of your videos that you've done, and it seems like you have a really, really good understanding on the balance between the sexes and how one shouldn't lord over the other and how they're compatible and how they should work together. I think when it's your time to rule, bro, I think you're going to make an awesome high chief. And I believe you're going to raise whatever the grade is of your I don't know. Do I say village? I don't want to say the wrong thing. You be a high chief of your community, the community or the kingdom that you rule over. I think you're going to be able to raise their grade tremendously. I think from hearing you talk about Oahspe and teach or whatever, I think your community will be probably one of the highest raised ones of those who sit under your teaching and learn about these things. You guys are going to be of a very high grade, right? Because you're doing the work now. But anyway, that's awesome. Oh, your mom and your maids. Okay. Your mom and your maids. Okay. All right. So let's hop to this, y'all. This, I should have asked one of y'all with the wrenches to share it. But here we go. That's the, wait a minute. That's the YouTube link. That's not what I wanted to share. The actual link for the article, you keep doing that. Hold on. Let me see. See if I can copy it here and put it here so I can paste it just in case y'all want to pull it up. Okay. Let me just copy it from here and I'll put it in here for y'all. But anyway, I think that's the, hold on. All right. Sorry, y'all. Okay, I got it now. Okay. And here is the link for the actual article. Okay. Did that pop up? Uh-oh. Did it not come in? Okay. Yeah, it did. Okay. So that's the link to the actual article. Okay. Women shouldn't listen to male spirits. What are you talking about, Jamia? Oh, if you talk, hold on. If you're talking about his comment, he was talking about how he grew up and he was talking about he was working on fixing himself because what he was taught growing up, I think. Okay, we'll come back to that. Let me get to this article real quick, y'all. If y'all can pull it up while we're actually reading it, that would be great. Okay. So it's on NBCnews.com. The title of it is 10-year-old Wisconsin boy charged as an adult in fatal shooting of mother over Amazon order of VR headset. Okay. All right. Okay. Now I want y'all to pay attention. Listen to this while I read it. And think about what we've learned while we've been going through here, different indicators and stuff. So when you start seeing red flags, just kind of like type them in your thoughts as I'm reading through this article. Okay. And this article was written on December the 1st, 2022. A 10-year-old Wisconsin boy has been charged as an adult with first-degree reckless homicide after he fatally shot his mother, telling police he was upset she wouldn't let him buy a virtual reality headset on Amazon. The shooting unfolded at 6:50 a.m. November 21st in the 7400 block of North 87th Street in Milwaukee. Just a day later, the boy went on to buy an Oculus virtual reality headset on his dead mother's Amazon account and even asked his grandmother whether his package had arrived, according to the criminal complaint. After the mother had been shot by him, he then went on and used her Amazon account the very next day after his mom has passed away and ordered this headset that she told him no. That's it. Just a day later, the boy went on to buy an Oculus virtual reality headset on his dead mother's Amazon account and even asked his grandmother whether his package had arrived, according to the criminal complaint. His 44-year-old mother, 44, I'm 43, I'll be 44 in March. His 44-year-old mother, identified by NBC affiliate WTM of Milwaukee as Kiana Mann, was shot at close range. The bullet entered her right eye and exited the back of her head through her skull, the criminal complaint said. The boy incidentally told investigators that his mom woke him up at 6 a.m. and that he retrieved her gun from her bedroom and went to the basement where she was doing laundry, the complaint said. And as he was twirling the gun around his finger, it, quote, accidentally went off, end quote, the complaint said. After he killed his mother, he went to the second-story bedroom to awaken his 26-year-old sister, who discovered their mother was dead and called 911, according to the complaint. But in later interviews with police, the boy admitted he was not twirling the gun around when he shot his mom, the complaint said. He admitted that, quote, his mother would not allow him to have something from Amazon that he wanted to have, end quote, it said. And he admitted that he retrieved the gun because he was mad at her for waking him up at 6 a.m. when he usually sleeps until 6:30 a.m. and admitted getting his mother's keys to her gun lockbox the night before, according to the complaint. He went to the basement and took up a shooting stance, the complaint said. He said his mother walked in front of him when he tried to shoot the wall to, quote, scare her, end quote. And he admitted that he, quote, shot her in the face when she was approximately 3 feet away, end quote, the complaint said. He then put the gun in the living room closet and woke up his sister, it said. The complaint said the boy, quote, admitted to knowing that guns are dangerous and can kill people, end quote. His sister told the police, his sister told the police that the boy had, quote, rage issues, end quote, all his life and, quote, becomes very angry and acts out, end quote, the complaint said. The boy told investigators that, quote, the boy told investigators that, quote, he has 5 different imaginary people that talk to him, end quote. Stop, Isaiah.
Mom,
What's the problem?
my laptop will never work for sensors. I've used all kinds of chargers.
Okay, well, I'll look into it.
Into the house. If it's broken, can we go to Best Buy to get a new one?
So let me look into it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Take it, sit it over there. I'm not going to be able to do it until this afternoon when I'm done with my class.
A laptop.
We'll talk about this a little bit later. Okay.
If we do, can I give me a laptop?
No.
A laptop that you have?
We'll talk about this in a little bit. Listen. His sister told police that the boy had, quote, rage issues, end quote, all his life and, quote, becomes very angry and acts out, end quote, the complaint said. The boy told investigators that, quote, he has 5 different imaginary people that talk to him, end quote. A therapist who had been meeting with the boy gave him a, quote, concerning diagnosis, end quote. The sister said per the complaint. No further details on the diagnosis were detailed. The mother, listen to this. Sis should have reached out to somebody, right? Listen. You right. Hold on. Oh, y'all still talking about that. Okay, listen. Listen to what the mother did. The mother had also placed cameras in the home to watch him. The boy had already admitted to have 5 different voices talk to him. 5 different alters, right? Listen. Meaning there's something that have to happen to this child for this to even happen to him, where he's open up to be possessed by 5 different people, 5 different voices, meaning that's at least 5. Well, he called it out, so he probably know, maybe not, but it's 5 that surfaced. Then he said it's 5 different voices that talk to him, right? The mother had also placed cameras in the home to watch him. 2 weeks ago, before the shooting, the sister learned from her mother that someone had unplugged the cameras, the complaint said. Police also interviewed other family members, including an aunt of the boy, who told the police, quote, he never cried and showed no remorse, end quote, about his mother's death. The morning after the shooting, on November 22nd, the boy logged on to his mother's Amazon account and ordered an Oculus virtual reality headset, his sister told investigators. The same morning, his aunt took him to his grandmother's house to meet with Child Protective Service workers. The affidavit said that when he arrived, he saw his grandmother crying and, quoted, stated without any empathy or compassion, I'm really sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for killing my mom, end quote. After he apologized for killing his mother, quote, he then asked if his Amazon package arrived, end quote. I'm almost certain why this child is talking. It's not his native spirit talking. Let me keep reading. The boy made his initial court appearance Friday, and a cash bond of $50,000 was set. Online records show his next status hearing is set for Wednesday. If he is convicted, he faces a maximum of 60 years in prison. NBC News has asked the boy's lawyer for comment. And that's the end of this article, right? All right, so he premeditated this and played the crazy card. It would seem to be that way. How many of y'all think, now he said he had 5 different voices talking to him. Do y'all think he was playing the crazy card? Or do you think it was actually 5 different spirits present that this boy was listening to, meaning there was 6 people inside his body, right? His natal spirit, which apparently was in the beds, right? Because no child can commit such a heinous crime on their own toward a loved one unless something else has really been going on. Not saying that his mother had been abusing him, because it could have happened somewhere else, right? It could have been neglect from the father. Like, it doesn't mention the father. Not sure what happened there, the relationship there, if he was ever present or what. We're not sure. This is all the information that we have right now. He was 10 years old. Yeah, a 10-year-old Wisconsin boy. So what y'all think about that? My mom said he premeditated this and played the crazy card. What y'all think? I don't know, only know he seemed to be aware he killed his mom when he said he was sorry for it, right? But there was like no remorse though. So do you think that was his native spirit that was saying, I'm sorry for killing my mom? Because like there was no remorse or anything, right? Because I have a 10-year-old child and they're pretty kind of, I mean, normal children without any kind of abuse present or anything like that. They're still kind of like emotional and stuff. And they're glued to one or the other parent, right? So if something was to happen, like one time I tripped and it's like, oh my God, mom, you know, it's like that natural emotion that children normally have it wasn't present. So I'm thinking about a lot of different things and like interacting with my children, just different things, right? Jamil said, I would love to hear about his character before this action, right? That's what I'm saying. We don't have any of the information, only on what we do have that leads us to believe that other kind of craziness was going on. His mom had bought security cameras for inside the house to record him, to see what was going on. Right? His sister said he'd have fits and bouts of rage, lashing out. Right? Some of those things. I think it was possession. He was clearly an open vessel for some dark entity. That's what Kendrick said. Tabitha said, these crimes are so difficult to solve, especially when we're up against altars. They are. Hannah said he was truly overshadowed by dark spirits. Set apart, 5 spirits taking over. Shebrew said most spirits don't apologize. You probably got a point there, Shebrew. I'm sitting here thinking. Maybe not. You definitely might be right. I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking about my interaction with ones who actually talk to me. Now, it's a lot of different ones that I don't know. I can't say for certain. But you're probably right. Most of them don't, right? I'm sitting here running some scenarios, different things through my head, thinking about what Shebrew said. You possibly could be right. You possibly could be right. Okay. Keith said he knew what he was doing. So you think it was all him? Do you think it was all him? Do you think it wasn't the 5 spirits he said that's there? Right? Do you think he was lying? Or do you think that it could possibly been all him and he just trying to throw, like my mama said, play the crazy card? Because he's 10, right? Now, unless he's grown up around people who play the crazy card, right? Because it's people who are very well trained in playing the crazy card when they're not really crazy, right? They'll play the crazy card to their advantage, but we know they got their good common sense. Sometimes that's kind of hard to decipher too, especially with a couple different instances of people I know. And there is this one, I'm not going to say any names. There's this one lady that I know that has 2 children, right? Black female, right? Not that it has anything to do with it, but there's somebody I know who played the crazy card so long that she actually opened up herself, and now her and her 2 children is really crazy, right? They were fine. We kind of, where we lived at when we, I ain't gonna say where we lived at. Okay. So a place we used to live at, in this neighborhood, there was this, she was real cool, talked to her all the time. And at that time, her children were smaller. They were about the age of Elijah and Jeremiah. So they were, at that time, when we were still over there, they was like 5 and maybe 5 and 9 or whatever. But also, she was getting government assistance, right? So she had like Section 8 and everything. And so she was not talking about her, but there are some people who make a lifestyle out of getting government assistance, right? Now, government assistance should be there to help you get on your feet, not something that's going to take care of you all the rest of your lifelong days, right? But some people play that card where it's like, well, I get this and I ain't worried about, they do just enough to stay on government assistance for the rest of their life. And then by doing that, they model that behavior to their children, and then their children, some of them, not all of them, some of the children began to do the same thing. And actually, she had 2 boys, and she got 1 girl. One of the children, which was the girl, when she moved out, she was like, all of this is crazy. I ain't living like this. She got out, got her a good job, got into a relationship, all this stuff. But the 2 boys, because they was younger and they got caught up in this, and even she went down there and had them, she started complaining about them. But like young kids like that, it's like, especially boys, they got a lot of energy. You got to like kind of keep them outside so they can burn their energy off. You can't keep them cooped up in a house all day and just expect them to sit there and like not do anything just because of their nature, how they make, they need some exercise, right? So she went down there and she played the card. They issued both of her sons medicine for ADD, right? And so she started giving them the medicine so she could get benefits for them. By giving them on this and getting them medicine, she started getting a check for both of her sons, where nothing was wrong with these babies. Yes, babe. Hold on, Sudie. But just kind of watching this progression, we lived over there for like 5 years. Yes. Donna. No, we're not going to get everything you see on the TV, little girl. Yes. What?
You have a banana. You have this, and you cut.
Oh, I mean, that is pretty cool. But I can still cut my bananas up with a butter knife, Tootie. They got this banana cutter. You can stick the banana in and cut it, and it chops up the banana. But I do it with a butter knife. I don't need that. You know, spoon. Okay, but anyway. So, but nothing was wrong with these babies. And maybe I didn't live with them, but I seen them enough every day outside playing with the kids to know that they were regular young boys, just full of energy and stuff. And, you know, but I began to notice this. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But now I didn't kind of had a update of what's been going on since and it's been a while since we lived over there, but we came across somebody who was like, who have you seen, how they doing? Still living over there acting crazy as ever, and got them boys acting crazy too. I'm like, what? I said, quit playing. They said, no, let me give you the rundown of what's been happening. And now, you know, the daughter had moved out and she was doing good, but now her relationship is all on the rocks because they said, you started to act like your mama. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, it's a really sensitive subject, not to make fun of anybody, but I mean, they really could have had some issues, lingering, mental illness and things, but it's kind of hard it's really kind of hard sometimes to pinpoint some of these things. But what I do know is if you play a part so long for a period of time when you're okay, you will actually begin to open yourself up to things like this happening to you. Right. And then you, because of your deceitfulness, we'll just call it deceitfulness, because of your deceitfulness and trying to get over on the system and that actually put forth some effort and work and be productive out here, you've opened yourself up to another whole world of issues that you didn't count on. And now is it not just affecting you, but it's affecting your children as well. And it can be seen. It's like this progression of things, and it's sad, really, right? And I think I agree with people that say we need to study more on mental illness and stuff, and not just to throw it out there, mental illness, but really don't just study it without the spiritual side of everything, or what they're actually opening themselves up to, or whether it's abuse that opens them up to things like this. So, let me see. Set Apart says, hold on, let me go back up. Faith is, hold on, if they apologize, hold on, let me go back up. I'm skipping stuff. Let me go back up. Okay, go back up to Shebru's comment. She said, most spirits don't lie. Key said he knew what he was doing. That's when I said, how many of y'all think that he really knew what he was doing, and that maybe he maybe had seen somebody playing that crazy card and be like, you know what, I'm gonna just say I was demon possessed, so I get out of this. Now that you have cases like that where some people actually do that, but for the sister to come out and say that the mom had bought cameras to put in the house to record him, I don't really think he was actually playing the crazy card. I think he could have been truly, not say crazy, but he could have been open up to it. Probably probably wasn't lying when he said there are 5 different voices that talk to him. And like I said, I only say that because his mom had to put video cameras in the house, right? Okay, so yeah, Keith said he knew what he was doing. Shebrew said, yes, it wasn't his native spirit. He had something going on spiritually, yes. Nazarene the Scene said 100. Jamil said he did it on purpose. Keith said most spirits would lie also. Yeah, true. My sister said, Alicia, flip switch. I agree. Flip switch, right? Yeah, flip the switch, right? Mom said, I think it depends on what they are trying to achieve. Shebrew said, if they apologize, it may be sarcastic with no response. Faith is Ministry said, definitely spirits. Keith said, all for a video game, maybe the child be in league with those spirits within him. Could be, right? It could be. Think about children who have invisible friends, right? And sometimes they be in cahoots with their invisible friends. Like, they all be in on it, native spirit and all, right? Because remember, for the child to be opened up to it, something has had to happen to that child, and these other spirits take advantage of that. We're going to be here to protect you, sis. This ain't never going to happen to you again, okay? So when this happens, he comes out, you just go sit back here and let us take over the car. Sometimes they do be in cahoots, right? These, like I said, these are very delicate cases, and you got to really be able to, you have to be able to pinpoint some of these finer details that are like glossed over, right? Okay. Tabitha said, rage is a dangerous force. He was angry because his mom woke him up. The little ninja had to get up in 30 minutes anyway, right? 6:30. Said his mama woke him up. Not to make light of the situation, seriously. Father, forgive me. But, just thinking about that, right? And little things like that sometimes set people off that have anger issues. But that anger, those angers, the sister said he had bouts of rage and lashing out. That's not natural. That has to come from some place, right? So like I said, we don't know. It could, like I said, we're not sure what happened with the father. The father is not mentioned in this particular article anywhere. It could have something to do with that, with dad being absent. Maybe dad was there. Maybe dad, even if dad wasn't there, but maybe dad had anger issues or whatever. A lot of times, even though the dad may never be in a child's life, they may never know their dad, that same spirit is passed down to the child to where they mimic dad like clockwork with the anger issues and stuff, right? Because it's a spiritual thing. Remember, what happens to the child in the womb is based on the life of the mother, the life on the father, the previous generations of this family, and what's going on at the time the child is cooking, right? So all of these things. Yeah, okay. Set apart said, how much does a 10-year-old child know to play the crazy card, right? And that's something I was bringing up earlier, right? Because it's not, of course, children have like natural anger. They want something, you can't get it, they're going to pout and stuff. But rage, that's a whole different type of thing. That's something else that's either been passed on or has been being built up over time. Something they've seen modeled before them, or even if they haven't seen it model, it could have been like spiritually passed down. It could have been an abuse. It could have been like a looking over where the child felt like they were overlooked or nobody's paying attention to me. And all of those little things, they just kind of add up, and it just comes out in different ways, right? So okay, Jamia said, I think it's possible a spirit or spirits overtook him at an early age, but again, he was remorseful. He did it, gave in. Right. Fritz said, spirits flock together like birds. I agree. Keith said, and not just any game, a virtual reality game, right? The Oculus. Let me tell y'all something. And with that particular thing as well, they can, my mom just said, video games can trigger those actions, right? With virtual reality games, right? You have to think about the brain, how the Father created our brains, right? Listen, the way the brain processes information, if you're playing a game, the brain doesn't know that this is just a game. You're going to react just like your brain, rather, is going to react just like this was a real life fight or flight situation. So endorphins are being released, serotonin, different chemicals in the brain while they're playing it. We can see kids start acting crazy with regular video games. They glued to them all day, this, or in the computer doing like that. Their brain, they don't realize how much it's affecting the brain, right? But when you take a headset and put it on your head, and for anybody that's ever been in virtual reality, it's really real, right? I've been in quite a few of them, testing different things and learning about the hemisync process from Robert Monroe. Remember Journeys Out of the Body, all of that stuff. I got a really good education reading through that and the hemisync, how the brain works, and also reading through the CIA document. The military knows this, which is why they train via simulation, because they understand how the brain works, right? And the children that lash out and stuff like that, they're not, I would say video games and simulations, they're good for the design that they're used for. And my children play video games, but I cut time. But it really can be detrimental for younger children to play on these when they're not like fully developed mentally, right? Because if you take the game, they start lashing out because the chemicals and things that are being released in their brain, and it's just a lot of stuff that people aren't aware of and aren't prepared to deal with when it comes to those things, right? So if you let your children play video games, definitely put times on it. Don't let them play any type of video games either, right? I rather them play sports games. I do let them play some of the war games, but not the real graphic ones. And then not the ones that is like blood and guts. Jeremiah and Elijah, they're older. But the younger ones, if it has like paintball mode, I'll allow paintball mode, but you only get like a few minutes, And even still, I'm just like, maybe we shouldn't let you do that at all, right? But I don't know. Maybe I need to get better with that. They love Nerf guns and stuff like that. But then I think about it while I'm reading through this. I'm like, by allowing them to do this, I'm teaching them how to practice war, when war is the mark of Cain. So when I be sitting up here talking about this, when I'm talking to y'all, I think about my own household and what they're doing and seeing ways where we can undo some of this stuff that's being done, because I don't want my children practicing war. I want them to be able to defend themselves and stuff. They're in karate, but karate is not teaching you how to go out there and fight people. It's really teaching you how to defend yourself, right? And not necessarily to fight back, but to reduce the threat, And if you need to throw a punch, the whole point is you're really not trying to throw a punch. You're really trying to disable the threat against you, if at all possible, by not throwing a punch or hurting the opponent at all, right? But sometimes it may go there, which is why they teach you the different levels of escalation, right? Mortal Kombat, which we learned about this through Oahspe, and it's not a good thing, right? But I read, I forget exactly where in here. In here in Oahspe, there was which story? It'll come back to me. There's an example of this in here where hold on. Let me make myself a note. Let me go back. I don't even want to say it before I mess my words up and I might have it wrong. Hold on. Let me look it up first. But we do know war is the mark of Cain, right? And we should be teaching it. All right, so yeah, I know. I got to get out of here, y'all. I got like 2 minutes. You know what? I was going to ask y'all something, but if y'all got any more comments, leave it down here in the comment section after the video ends. I love y'all. Bella! Bells! We got to go. Y'all, it is Saturday, November the 3rd, 2022, day 278 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1297. We read in Oahspe, pages 71 to 72. And then Field Guide to the Spirit World, page 178 to 158. That was the end of the chapter. Then we read this article. I'll get all this stuff posted later. I love you, Father. We thank you that not only are you brilliant, but you are never ending. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Too about to be mad about this, but I got to get logged on in like a minute. All right. I love y'all. Peace.